This town is an all-right town for an uptight town like this town. This town.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the New Low News Show. I'm MC Graham.
I am King Kobe.
And I am Adam.
So, the election is over, and what do you guys think?
You know, I'm really excited by the election results. I really am.
Yeah, why is that?
They're over. You know, it's finally over with.
Our long national nightmare has come to an end.
Well, thanks to the miracle of social media, we still get to hear about it for 2 to 10 more weeks or so. Longer than you might like to.
Well, you know, this is pretty significant on a few levels that I think deserve exploring.
What was the good to come from this election?
You know, honestly, I think the best things that happened were our experiments in direct democracy. Like, I've always thought the referendums were a pretty cool idea just because they give people the feeling that, hey, you know, your vote is actually going to change reality very soon, rather than electing some corrupt corporate shill who will pretend to take your wishes into consideration and then just give money to his rich friends. So I liked how there was what they called a clean sweep for gay rights. Every contest over that went in the direction of allowing them to get married, or in Minnesota there was a proposition that would ban gay marriage, so that was defeated.
Hell yeah.
So on all levels that was good victory. And I watched videos of people like when they saw or when they heard that gay marriage passed, like, and the people were just crying, they were hugging each other. It was such a genuine outburst of positivity, you know, and I was
a lot of joy.
Yeah, and I was like, you know, this is good. This was a good thing that happened. All the arguments against it are fucking stupid, you know, and people are better off because of it.
It was a big cultural war. I mean, I remember when I was growing up in the 90s, I remember there were still a lot of people who would openly condemn homosexuals, and most of that's just faded away as younger people have become adults.
Yeah, like there was I was listening to, actually on election night, I was listening to NPR, and they were talking to some professor, you know, in his civics class, he would have students debate different issues just to kind of get a sense of how that worked in the government, and he could never find students to debate gay marriage because they all were like, yeah, this is fine, like, no one cares.
It was just a total non-issue for like a younger demographic.
Right. And he said the same thing was true for marijuana legalization. And, surprise, surprise, that was also on various ballot measures, and that also passed. So that itself was also a pretty good victory because anyone...
You mean they're going to let people smoke pot? What the fuck?
Marijuana?
It's over. That stuff is pure just paranoia, terror. Have you guys ever smoked it? It's horrible.
Yeah, you know, sometimes it can really make you freak out. I mean, it's not for me personally, but I know quite a few people that manage to smoke. And
well, it causes you to kill people unless you have the antidote, which is any food.
You know, and it just goes back to the basic civil liberties thing. Like, what right do the fucking bureaucrats in Washington have to tell you not to smoke a little MJ? Like, that's
right, or do a little shrooms, or shoot up a little smack,
or take some ludes, or
a relaxing smoke of crack.
Fucking amphetamine salts, you know.
Well, and here's the thing, right? I thought when I heard that pot was quote-unquote legal, I imagined that it was decriminalized in Colorado or Washington, but it is legal. Like, you will buy it in a store. Uncle Sam will get a cut, just like when you buy your Bud Light Tall Boys or whatever.
Which we got earlier tonight.
Right, and I thought this is a bold move because, well, drugs are still illegal on the federal level, and the Supremacy Clause means that anytime they want, the DA can kick your door down, suspend your First and Second Amendment rights, and tase you to death or something.
Claim you're reaching for a weapon.
Yeah. Over if you have any cannabis anywhere in your house or residue.
Playing a drug that's illegal in the state now, you know, so just sprinkle a little crack on it.
No, and it's and that's actually, I think, like, that's one of the things I'm worried about, and I just genuinely don't know how the situation is going to play out, because Obama has been quite the drug warrior, you know.
Oh, absolutely. And he used drugs, which is an interesting.
It makes him a fucking hypocrite, you know. Like, he said, you know, he used drugs just fine, and of course it didn't negatively affect his life at all. He's going to be president for 8 fucking
And there's
years.
no reason for him to turn himself in, be in full compliance with law and order. Or
Right.
like
So
that.
he uses drugs. His life turns out fine. But if anyone else tries to go that same road, they need to be tased and thrown in jail for days at a time.
Rehabilitated.
Yeah, rehabilitated. No, not even
Re-educated
Yeah.
in a FEMA detention camp.
Yeah. So it's like, what is his DEA going to do to these states that are defying the federal government on this issue?
We'll see.
Yeah, I genuinely don't know. It could get really ugly.
Well, here's a question. Now, what about younger DEA agents, coming around now? It's like, do they even care about marijuana anymore?
This is a big issue with when you talk about police and enforcement agents. Activists or advocates for things always have this idea that they're going to change the mind of the people enforcing the laws, and they're gonna resist even enforcing the law, and then it's a non-issue. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to work that way. If people are getting a paycheck, they'll do just about anything for it.
yeah.
No, probably, I think...
How many DEA agents believe they're keeping the world fucking safe when they kick in, a medical marijuana dispensary's door in, Baja, California, or whatever?
Yeah, but what they are getting out of it is the rush of power you feel
Kicking down a door.
when you kick down a door and pointing a gun in someone's face and deny them of their basic human dignity and stuff like that. So... from that perspective, they're getting a paycheck for it, and they're completely protected. They get good government benefits, so there's very little incentive for them to change their tune. Although there is an organization it's called LEAP, I think. It's Law Enforcement
those guys are
Against
cool.
Prohibition. These are actually active or retired law enforcement officers who support marijuana legalization efforts. And that's a very brave thing to do, because they're going against the culture of prohibition. And sometimes putting their professional lives at risk by doing so.
And more or less, that's what these states are doing. They're challenging the federal government. So hopefully, this won't be the springboard to the next era of the United States, the cannabis drone wars.
Yeah, that could happen.
That is actually a legitimate fear now. Thanks for bringing that up.
It could, or Mr. Obama could do the right thing, which he has never historically done.
That is unprecedented.
Oh, fuck. That's so true.
No, because that's what all the supporters keep coming up with. It's
One of these days he's gonna get it right. Hasn't yet. Now that we've discussed the positive outcomes of the election, which mostly are the result of direct democracy, referendums, that sort of stuff, we now have to get to the bad part.
You mean the candidates?
Yes, the actual candidates themselves. We're not offering, or did not offer much hope for their major constituencies. Yeah, the electorate was divided, was very racially polarized.
Whoa, Grant, did you just say racial?
Yes, racially polarized.
I thought we lived in a post-racial society.
Can we still say that on the internet? I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, race mattered a huge deal in this election. Maybe it would be better off if it didn't, but people are what they are. All the white people living in rural areas and white people living in a lot of places voted for Romney for some fucking reason. I don't know why. I don't think he was going to help white people.
Because they believe in America, Graham. They're not going to apologize for American exceptionalism.
And then...
Yeah, I didn't vote for either of those white motherfuckers. So, and I have no problem with white people. Like, I would vote for a qualified white candidate who really drew my attention. And,
No, if a candidate came out and said, I am going to advance the interests of the white working class, I would be like, you got my vote. That's what I am. Well,
you got to look out for yourself.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm fucking broke, in debt, through school. My work is not very consistent.
Graham, this sound like first world problems.
They
if you
are.
don't mind me saying so. This is something I picked up from Twitter. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for going on Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter and Tumblr. Yeah, I'm experiencing quite a few of those first world problems recently, where my life is significantly impacted by economic conditions beyond my control. And any candidate that I thought could ameliorate that on any level, I would be like, that rocks. I would support you. And that's why, for example, the myth of the rich creating jobs doesn't make a lot of sense, because what do rich people do with their money? They make money off of money. They don't necessarily, especially nowadays, need to invest it. They don't need to make any hardcore capital investments to build a company. They can just make a variety of sophisticated transactions, or they don't even need to do it. They can hire someone to do it.
Computer can do it.
A computer can do it for them. They can hire someone to do it, and they can just make money off of money, and it sits there in their account, and they look at it, and they feel better about themselves. So these people, we're not holding these people back from creating a whole bunch of stuff. And that's one of the most persistent myths about Wall Street, is that they look at people like, they like to bring up like big entrepreneurs, Thomas Edison, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg. These are guys that go out and they make shit that people like, and
they're not bankers.
They're not hucksters and speculators. And look at what happened to Zuckerberg. He tried to sell his product on the open market, and he got fucking screwed by J.P. Morgan.
That'll happen.
There's a reason historically people don't trust bankers, because they're pretty much making money out of nothing, and they're not very nice people, and when left to their own devices, they burn the whole place down. So the best way to deal with that industry, because it is necessary to have credit, is to make sure it's highly regulated.
Well, in a sense, first world problems are the same as third world problems, in that they're creating this global race to the bottom. Clinton was probably the best example of a liberal politician who instituted these policies. Under Clinton we had the so-called liberalization of the financial sector, which the absence of rules or oversight eventually led to the toxic conditions that created the financial crisis. And that's the thing. It's like what you call a Nixon in China moment. Only Nixon could go to communist China and establish diplomatic relations with them without being called a communist sympathizer, because he's a Republican, or he was a Republican. And only Clinton could sign NAFTA or oversee legislation that repealed Glass-Steagall.
Yeah, without being called, big business shill, because after all, he's so folksy and charming. And Obama's going to do the same shit. His friends on Wall Street are very keen on privatizing Social Security, and I believe that's what he's going to start doing with his debt deal or agreement, which the negotiations for which are going to start up very soon.
That's what they're talking about now.
Yeah.
The fiscal cliff.
Yes.
Doesn't that sound scary? What happens when you fall off the fiscal cliff?
No, the way they're portraying it, once we hit the fiscal cliff, there will be no money in America anymore. We'll be reduced to trading gasoline and cigarettes, like after the fall of the Soviet Union.
Well, Adams already does.
I do that now, so But that's just Tuesday.
These scares come up every year. The debt ceiling crisis last year, which actually preceded Occupy Wall Street, and I kind of latched on to the Occupy thing because it just questioned the whole abstract nature of finance. Like, I'm in debt, really? Yeah. What does that even mean, So when they say something like, our country is in debt, and you guys are going to have to pay for it.
Or we've been living beyond our means, and by that I mean we have been invading countries without paying for it as we go. Or we have been giving tax breaks to our rich friends, and now your grandparents are going to have to see a reduction in benefits. The House Republicans are all about limited government, which the only government services they seem to want to limit are those that actually benefit the average working stiff. So they will propose some outrageous deal to cut benefits, and then the White House will say, oh, we're not going to cave on Social Security. This is a huge issue for us. Then it will go back and forth. Then a bunch of pundits will say, oh, well, maybe they should cave. And then the White House will cave. And then all the Democrats will say, God, why doesn't Obama grow a spine? And the reason why he'll never grow a spine is because he doesn't fucking like you.
How y'all doing? This is Adam. Just want to thank you guys for giving us a listen, and we're going to end the show a little differently this week. There was only so much we could do to prepare for Superstorm Sandy, and now that the nor'easter has also come through the East Coast on top of that, there's so much that needs to be done to help the people that were affected by both of these storms. I just want to take the time to mention that you, your friends, your family, anyone can still help the less fortunate from this disaster. The Red Cross is one organization that I wholeheartedly support, and on their website, www.redcross.org, there's a lot of information on how you can help disaster victims. I personally will be donating blood next Thursday, and we here at the New Low believe that if you don't help, you are a bad person and deserve a superstorm slapped across your face. And by superstorm, I mean my dick. Actually, all 3 of our dicks just slapped right across your face. So donate now.